Hello everyone, I'm Laura, founder and lead teacher of Divine Light Yoga. And today I'm hopping on to talk a little bit about mindfulness. Mindfulness is this word that has really popped up over the last couple of years, and you see it around everywhere. You see a lot about people doing mindful breathing, mindful eating, and mindful this, mindful playing, mindful everything, which is awesome. And it really all is about retraining your brain to become more aware and more conscious of your physical body, your emotions, your thoughts, and also that surrounds you. So I'm talking today about some strategies on how you can encourage children to be more mindful. And these activities or these strategies are ones that you can use most definitely at home with your children at home if you're a parent or a caregiver. At school, I used to use these a lot when I was working in international schools. Of course, you can use these in your yoga classes, and also if you're working with children in a social or community setting, or maybe on a one-to-one basis as a counselor or a therapist. So really, you can use all of these strategies pretty much anytime throughout your day, throughout your contact with children. So the first one is definitely one that you can use wherever you are and in whichever capacity you're working with children. And that is mindful walking. So it seems very simple, but actually it's very difficult. If you've ever practiced a mindful walk, it does take a lot of practice, a lot of perseverance, and a lot of patience. So with children, I would encourage them to focus on one particular thing whilst you are doing your mindful walk. So it might be that you give them something visual to focus on. So maybe for your mindful walk, and you can do this anywhere, it could be that you're doing it outside, maybe from your walk from home to school, or it might be that you're just doing it inside, a very simple walk from the classroom to the bathroom, or from their bedroom to the kitchen. So you can really do it anywhere. So give them something visual, for example, giving them something visual to focus on. It might be that you encourage them to focus on just all of the green things that they can see on their walk from A to B, so that they are really noticing everything around them. They're very consciously looking and trying to spot that one color, green. What things can they see that are green? And then when you get to your destination, you can then maybe have a little chat about it, about a discussion about what they did see, maybe things that you saw that they didn't see. So I really encourage you to also be doing the mindful walk. If you're not looking at colors or maybe looking at shapes, you could also encourage them to do a mindful walk where they are just listening, focusing on what they can hear in the surrounding environment. So this, of course, is absolutely wonderful if you're in an outdoor environment, if you're taking them on a little mindfulness nature trail. It might be a little bit more difficult if you're doing it inside, but still something that they can practice. So mindful walking, where they're just focusing on one thing that they see or hear, or maybe something that they smell. You could also do it where they are mindful of their movements. So encouraging them to move slowly. It might be that you get them to take their shoes off and they're walking on the floor, maybe heel to toe, or walking just on their tiptoes and noticing how the ground feels on their feet. Of course, prepping them before you do mindful walking to ensure that they know that they are moving slowly, they are moving quietly and silently, so we're not talking. And then they can discuss it at the end with you. So strategy number 1 for mindfulness is a mindfulness walk. The second one is mindful eating. So of course, this is a little bit more difficult depending on how you work with the children. If you're doing this at home, of course, you could do it at meal times. It might be that you choose every Wednesday evening, you do mindful eating. The same as if you're working in schools and you have snack time with the children, maybe once a week, ideally at some point every day, but maybe once a week, they do mindful eating. For this, again, it is quiet, it is slow, it is, you're prepping the children, encouraging them to do the mindful eating silently, slowly, and being really present. So it might be that they are focusing on the colours that they see in the food. So again, focusing on the visual, the colours, the patterns, the shapes that they see in the food. Maybe they're focusing on what they taste, so really slowing everything down, focusing on the taste and the texture of the food. And this is something that you can do as a group activity as well, where you give them one thing to eat, so maybe it's a strawberry or maybe it's a piece of chocolate if you're treating them, and guiding them through that, getting them to really taste it, to feel it in their mouth, and follow the journey of the food from their hand into their stomachs. And this is just a good practice to get them to really be fully aware and conscious of how they're eating, what they're eating, and what it tastes like. So focusing on the visual, on the taste, or of course focusing on what the food smells like as well. Now, if it's not possible for the children, depending on their age, to do a whole meal of mindful eating, and by no means I am not suggesting that you spend 30-40 minutes in silence eating mindfully. It's not that feasible for most children. But even just 1 or 2 minutes at the beginning of your meal times or the beginning of your snack times to encourage the children to be more aware and focused. And it really is giving them something to focus on. Don't just leave them in silence. You need to give them something to concentrate on and something to be mindful about. So the third and final strategy for mindfulness is mindful breathing. And this is a great one to do just before they go to bed, if you're doing it at home, parents, or in schools or in therapy sessions. If you're a sports coach, it's awesome to do before and after the sessions, before the sports session starts. So it's really just being fully aware of the breath without controlling it. So we do a lot of breathing techniques, of course, in yoga and in hopefully in your mindfulness sessions at schools and at home, but that's more about controlling the breath. Now, this is more about watching and observing the breath, so being fully mindful of how the breath is. And again, this is probably going to take a little bit of guidance, maybe to start off with, but just asking those open-ended questions. Where can you feel your breath? Do you feel it more in your belly? Do you feel it in your chest? Can you feel it in your throat? How does it feel? Is it short? Is it shallow? Is it quick? What is the rhythm of your breath? Where is the breath moving? Can you feel it in the back of your body? Can you feel it in the side of your body? So just asking those open-ended questions, getting them to become more aware and mindful of how they breathe. And this is really important because once the children become very conscious of their breath, they can start to regulate their emotions. They can start to regulate the body by taking control of the breath. So if you're teaching them to be mindful of their breathing, then when they're in stressful or challenging situations, maybe where they're feeling fearful or anxious, then they'll be able to quickly tune into how their breath is, and then they'll use those breathing techniques that you're teaching them to start to calm the body down and slow the breath down. So mindful breathing is a really, really important tool for children. It's a really important life skill, to be quite honest. So 3 strategies of how you can introduce mindfulness to children is mindful walking, and that can be done anywhere. Mindful eating, whether it's 1 minute at the beginning of meal times or whether it's a whole of the snack time. And the third strategy is mindful breathing. Now, if you are interested in learning a little bit more about mindfulness or some of the breathing strategies that I'm talking about, then please do subscribe to our YouTube channel or hop over to our website so that you can see the many, many videos we have over there on all things yoga, mindfulness, and meditation for children. And if you are keen to really delve into children's yoga and meditation, then you can join one of our online courses or one of our residential modular courses. You can find all that information at www.divine-light-yoga.com. And I'll put the link below this video. Well, thank you so much for listening. I do hope you and the children that you are in contact with today have a very beautiful and mindful day. Thank you very much for listening. Namaste.